Oh, hello.
Hi,
Oh, hey, bud.
I'm doing crazy makeup. You're gonna get to watch me.
Oh, good.
I've never painted my face while looking at a webcam before, so this is interesting. It should look good at the end. All right, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome to the 6th Virtual Creative Workshop and Variety Show. As you all know, or if you didn't know, well, you know now by seeing some of us, this workshop is going to be a little bit Halloween themed. So all of our featured guests are going to have something that is in some way eerie, spooky, dark, or Halloweeny in some shape or form. Thank you so much for being here. As you might have seen in the slides that I showed at the beginning, if you are muted, you have background noise, feel free to unmute yourself if you ever want to speak. Feel free to leave comments in the comments section at any point, ask questions at any point. My co-host, Agnesa, she's the other dressed up person that you see amongst us. She will be choosing some of the comments and questions to read aloud. Your questions might be selected. If not, then after our artists go, they will have time to go through some of the comments and take a look and give you additional responses after they're part of the show. And before we begin, my co-host Agnesa will read you the lineup of all of the guests who will be featured during this workshop and variety show.
Hi everyone, Agnesa here. And in case my costume is not obvious, I am a Russian Gothic alcoholic, and here's all my alcohol. I don't know if you can see it in there. The lighting.
I love it. I had no idea.
These are actual bottles I have drank just over time, not all at once.
Yeah, you'd be dead.
Okay, so starting off our show will be Crystal, who is a Canadian author and illustrator, who will be talking about and reading from her children's book about ghosts. Next, we will have Kaylee Brown from England, who will show us some of her colored pencil, acrylic, graphite, and watercolor works that range in subject from realistic, detailed drawings of animals and people to surreal, dreamlike images inspired by myths, legends, and fairy tales. Then we will have Chelsea Woodmansey from Chicago.
You got
it. Yay. From Chicago, a comedian who won Central Oregon's Last Comic Standing twice, gave a TED Talk on laughter, and started her own show. She will have a comedy skit for us, plus talk a little about making big moves to pursue your career. After, filmmaker Jesse Locke will be joining us and showing us some of his short films, talking about his documentaries that were recently released, and answering a few interview questions. By the way, your host, Alina, is in one of these films. She mentioned attempting to act, so there's a bit of a collaboration there. And finishing up our show will be Jules and Darkin, who will combine poetry, music, and dance for her performance and teach us some movements so we can follow along.
All right, so that was the lineup, everyone. And now we're going to begin with Crystal Clark. I'm going to give you a little bit of a bio about her. So Crystal is in Canada, where she was born and raised. So Crystal tells me she tries to be creative in as many different ways as possible. This includes sewing, knitting, writing, and illustrating. And today, you will get to hear her read from her Halloween-themed children's book, which she wrote and illustrated herself. Hi, Crystal.
Hello. So I have a 5-year-old son named Brayden, and he inspired me to write the book. It just sort of started as just me writing it just to write a story, just because he likes reading, and like we read stories every night at bedtime. So I was like, well, how fun would it be to have a story written about him? So I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna do that. And then I met a local author who was like, hey, you should try this publisher. It seems like something they'd like. So that's what I did. And it ended up published. Within a week, I had a contract. So
Awesome. You're going to read your book for us?
It's called Brayden's Ghosts. Brayden's favorite holiday is Halloween. Not because of the costumes, not because of the candy, not because of the jack-o'-lanterns, not because of the fun decorations. His favorite thing about Halloween are the ghosts. Brayden loves ghosts all year long. Brayden is sure that there are ghosts all over his house. Some mornings, when Brayden's in the living room, he says, "Ah, there's a ghost over the TV." "No, silly, it's just a mummer to remember family traditions," replies Nini. Some afternoons after his nap, it's dark in the hallway. "Ah, it's a ghost in the hallway," Brayden says. "No, it's just a nightlight to help us see when it's dark." And at bedtime he yells, "Ah, there's a ghostie in my bed." "Yes, my munchkin, it's the doll I made you to sleep with," replies Mommy. "Oh yes, I love my ghosties," Brayden says, as he snuggles his ghost doll and drifts off to sleep. The end.
That was cute. So,
Thank you.
yeah. So you illustrated the book yourself, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
And I have a couple questions for you about some of the things that appear in the story. So Ghosty Ghost, the doll that Brayden goes to bed with at the end, that's a real doll that you made for him, right?
Yeah, he is. This is actually Ghosty Ghost 2.0 because we moved not too long ago and he's trying to be the hide and seek champion of 2020. So I had to make another one, but I also altered it so I have a mini Ghosty Ghost. And for his shoes, for the mini one, I have newborn socks that were actually Brayden's and a pair of old boots that were Brayden's.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Oh, you said that you have a pattern that you were going to post online in case anybody wanted to.
I do have a Facebook page for my writing, and I'm going to be uploading the pattern so people can make their own, or hopefully eventually I can make them and sell them too.
Definitely, especially people who read the book and want a ghosty ghost for their kids.
Yeah.
Awesome, makes sense. So there are some other dolls that you mentioned in your book, and you called them mummers, and I did not know what those were until I did some research. So for those of us in the audience who don't know, could you explain what those are?
So mummering is a tradition from Newfoundland, which is, if you don't know, it's one of Canada's provinces. And it's basically Christmas trick-or-treating. So you get all dressed up and disguise yourself. I'll show a picture. You disguise yourself with like pillowcases over your heads and mitts and 30 layers of clothes just to completely like hide your identity. And instead of like knocking on the door and saying trick or treat, you knock on the door, you say any mummers allowed in, and then you have to sort of do a skit or a dance or like do something to sort of win the homeowners over, and then you go in and you party, and then when you've had enough partying in at that house, you move to the next one.
That sounds like an awesome holiday. I wish we had it.
Yeah, it's a tradition.
In the book, your son points at the mummers and he argues that they're ghosts, right? So
Yeah.
do a lot of people have those dolls in their house? Is that a tradition too?
My family's very into like keeping family traditions, and my mom knew the artist that was making them and was like, "Hey, it'd be cute to have one of me, her, and then my son." And then when his came, it looked like a ghost.
I love how you actually put in things that are true, where, you know,
Yeah.
everything that's in there is actually something that Brayden has said or asked about.
Yeah, on Amazon it says that it's fiction, but it's actually nonfiction.
So besides this book, you're working on some other projects, right? Possibly some other children's book.
Working on a sequel for it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So you showed me a couple of sketches of characters, like the dinosaur with the octopus tentacles. Could you
Yeah.
show us that? Tell us about him a little.
I just sort of was like, I want to do something sort of different, like, because this book's going to be about, we do a lot of conventions, like Comic-Con and stuff like that. And so I wanted to do, like, come up with sort of random original characters, because, like, I can't go and use Superman or something. So I was like, what can I do that's a little different? So like, one of my favorites that I come up with is the Bingo Dabber.
Yeah.
So like, and like, I don't have the story completely fleshed out, but I do have a lot of the art. Some of it's inspired by like my friends and their families, or I'm gonna have a couple people cosplaying Brayden and a mummer.
Yeah.
From Brayden's Ghosts. So
That's cute. So now that you mentioned mummers again, Chelsea is our comedian. She's going to be going on later on in the show, but she has already started comediaing in the comment section. No, I want to read that. I can't read your joke. Do you want to read it aloud?
Oh, I was joking. No, go for it.
Okay, so what she said is, do mummers drive mumvies? And then she said, hey-oh, I'll stop now. All right, so I'm gonna let Agnesa, our co-host, read the comments to you really quick before we move on to the next person in the show.
Risa said, so cute. And then Jules in Darkened mentioned, I love how you are bringing representation of alternative parenting into the mainstream. So beautiful.
Thank you. If I could just show off, I actually apparently have gotten my own fan mail. Someone bought the book and made Brayden his own ghosty ghost blanket with his name across the top.
Yeah,
Just wanted to share that.
I love that. Fan mail is great. Yeah, thanks so much, Crystal. Thanks for joining us from Canada.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right. So up next on our show is Kaylee Brown from England, where it is the middle of the night right now. So thank you so much for staying awake and being here, Kaylee. Kaylee's going to show us some of her colored pencil, acrylic, graphite, and watercolor works. And after, we'll have a short interview about how she took 17 years off from making art and how she now stays focused while under quarantine.
1 second, here we go.
Yeah, Kaylee's going to share a presentation with us that she created that has her art in there.
Okay. This is when I first really got into coloured pencils. I drew this one this time last year. I don't even remember what the inspiration for it was now. I think I just got an idea into my head and wanted to get it down, and it's a big A2 piece, and it was the first time I used coloured pencil on toned paper, and I just wanted to play with getting different angles of light into the image and things. But yeah, this one, I think this is one of the first ones I did that I was actually proud of. This is actually where I started off. Quite a few years ago, I was training to be a mental health nurse, and I hurt my back, and I had to take a lot of time off work, waiting for surgery, and I was really struggling, and I was using adult colouring books as just something to give me something for my brain to think about when I was lying on the sofa for 2 years. And it just occurred to me one day that it had been so long since I'd drawn something. I really just wanted to try my own designs and see what I could come up with. And this is the very first two that I put together and designed. And I mean, I've improved since then, but I think I was really happy with them.
So you said that these ones, you have them uncolored, right?
Still sell the line drawings of these in the little gallery that I work out of. They're quite popular with young girls. They like colouring them in, so it makes me really happy. They bring them back and show me the line drawings when they've coloured them, and it's really sweet. So it's just to share it a little bit. This monster, when I first started doing the colouring pages, a friend of mine got in touch and asked me if I would like to design some images for a tabletop game with little models, and they throw dice and move them, and they play war and things. I don't really know much about it, but this was actually the first time I'd done an acrylic painting of this scale in a long time. He gave me a brief of what I was doing and asked me to put my interpretation on it. And it's actually part of a series. I think there's about 5 or 6 of them. But this is the one I like the most from that time. I worked on that for about a year. It wasn't something I was particularly comfortable doing. It wasn't my style or what I wanted to be doing. And unfortunately, the game didn't end up going anywhere, but it did give me a lot of experience with getting back into doing art again and learning painting pretty much from scratch again. So I think it was all worth it for that side of things. Following that, I was a bit lost for a while because I knew I wanted to keep doing it, but I wasn't sure where I was going to go. So I started to do portraits of friends and family and friends' pets and things like that. Now, this is my granddad and his brother, great uncle David. It was the first couple of portraits that I'd done, and it's just an example to see what I could do. And that's when I started actually picking work up and getting a lot of commissions and things. I think these now belong to my mum. The originals, I've given them to her to keep.
Yeah.
So at least it's nice to share, and I wasn't doing anything with them. So I don't think anyone would want to buy a picture of my granddad. So
So when I was telling people about this event, I showed some of these pictures in an art group, to entice people to come and see you, the artist.
Mhm.
And I'm going to show you later on screenshots of how much of a response you got from everybody who was blown away. And people were saying, these two look like such characters. I wish I could meet them. So somebody might have wanted a picture of them on their wall just because they look like characters.
Definitely characters. Yeah.
Yeah, the detail is amazing on these though.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, but I wanted to put a lot of work into it, and that's what I do. I get really caught up in all the little details, but I love that. That's my favorite thing about it. It's something I can just get lost in for days and days at a time, and it's the best thing being able to do this for a living. So, what's next? Yeah, so when I'd been doing graphite portraits for a little while, and I decided to again start experimenting with coloured pencils. This is one of the first ones that I did. This one specifically, I did a watercolour base underneath. Oh, I'm terrible with watercolour. I could show you the picture from just the base before the coloured pencil. Oh, it's terrible. But yeah, so I did the watercolour base because it was on a really light tone, and I felt like it just gave it a bit of added depth. But yeah, this is one of the first ones that I drew that I'm now actually able to sell. I've done about 6 or 7, and I tried to sort of stick with the sort of endangered animals. I don't know if there was any sort of reason for that. It's more just sort of to bring awareness of how many animals we're actually losing at the moment. And there's a little chameleon, which I don't think technically are endangered, but I wanted to draw a chameleon, so that went into that little set. But this makes me happy, this picture. I think that's what I like to draw for. There's no reason for it. It just makes me happy.
So I'm going to ask you a quick question while you're showing me the colored pencil images. And it's a question I asked you yesterday, and the answer amazed me because of your patience. So I'll ask you now so you can answer for the audience. How long does a colored pencil piece take you to complete?
Well, it does depend on the size. The last 2 or 3 and this lion that I'm showing you are on the smaller scale, and they can take around 3 weeks or so to do. That's not every day. I do take a couple of days off a week, but it's not quick.
Yeah. So what you told me yesterday when we did a little practice session is it's about 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, 2 to 3 weeks. That is amazing.
And it's often longer than 4 hours a day. I think in total I can get an area of about 2 or 3 inches square done to my standard in a day.
Yeah.
So it's small chunks every day.
Wow. Still the dedication and the patience. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, I have nothing else to do. Yeah, this lion that I did, it was the first time I've drawn on black paper, and I didn't actually at the time have any workable fixatives or anything like that. So this is just coloured pencils straight on black paper. I hadn't drawn a lion before, so I thought I would see how it went. And I just wanted to experiment with colour, and I started going from more realistic at this point to a lot more colourful and a lot more experimental. And I went from here to drawing the one after this. This is my most current piece that I'm doing at the moment. I was hoping to have it to show you I'm almost finished it now. There's only a few tiny bits left to do in the corner. But this was, my partner said, I want you to draw me a Christmas card. So I thought about it and I thought Christmas cards are boring because they've all been done a million times. So how can I do it differently? And this just popped into my head. I did use a couple of references, obviously, to get the scale of things right. But yeah, most of this is just from the imagination. I just drew it out. And it's actually, rather than a Christian Christmas card, it's very sort of pagan and Wiccan-y influence. There's the story of the Holly King and the Oak King. One dies and is reborn on the morning of the winter solstice. And I just wanted to sort of incorporate a lot of that symbolism into the picture. But yes, that's almost done now. I've only got one corner left to do. So hopefully it'll be done in this weekend.
Yeah.
It's been going on about a month and a half maybe. I've been on this one now and I'm honestly sick of looking at it. But yes, this is my favourite piece that I've done. And I started it during lockdown, and honestly it's the first time that I've mixed coloured pencil with acrylic, mostly because I couldn't get the moss to do what I wanted it to do with pencil. So I just thought, oh, sod it, I'm going to paint over it and see how it goes. And it's actually worked really, really well. But this one, I'd seen a couple of pictures and I just wanted to do my own take on an idea that I'd seen already online. I don't know if it has a story as such or whether I just thought it would be pretty. But this one's untitled and I don't know what to call it.
Yeah. This is where we have the audience get involved. I'm going to have all of you help Kaylee come up with a name for this particular piece of art. And you can throw your suggestions into the comments section. We'll be collecting them for a while and then have our co-host read them aloud in a little bit. But while you do that, while you all rack your brains for ideas, I'm going to ask Kaylee a couple of questions really quick here. So since this is one of the ones where you used both colored pencil and acrylic, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, well, first of all, yesterday when I practiced with you, I asked you what your favorite medium to work with is. And you told me that, a variety and depends on what it's best for. And then you told me something interesting about mixing mediums together. And I'd love for you to share that with us.
I think certain materials will do something that I want them to do and others won't. I find it much easier to capture light and brightness with coloured pencils. I find acrylics very dull for that. Oh, hello. Sorry, go away. Yeah, I think it honestly depends what it is that I want to do as to which I will choose to use. I hope that answers the question.
You told me something interesting yesterday, and that was at first when you started combining different mediums together, you thought that it was cheating and that you're not really.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I went on Facebook, I asked Reddit, I asked Instagram, is it cheating if I can't get the pencils to do what I want? Is it cheating to mix paint in with it? And, I was blown away by the response where people were just saying, it really doesn't matter. Do what you want. It's your art piece. If you want to mix. And it honestly, it was such a freeing moment because up until then, I felt like I had to follow all of these rigid rules because with being self-taught, I don't really have like a professional approach. I just start drawing and something comes out. But being given that freedom to just think, well, yeah, if I want to do that, why not? Just do it.
Yeah, and I love that. I've heard this from other artists. By the way, somebody's asking what your cat's name is.
This is Rory.
That's cute. Yeah, I've heard that from other artists before where they thought that, if they use a pen to get the little tiny detail like an eyelash, then all of a sudden that's cheating because you're supposed to only use paint if it's a painting. But that's entirely not true. And a lot of professional artists that I know, they mix mediums all the time. And we're having a couple of answers coming in, but do give us a couple more suggestions before we read all of the names that you all come up with for this particular painting well, colored pencil and acrylic work. And I'm going to have you tell us, Kaylee, about those 17 years that you took off from making art. What was the reason for that? And but at the end of that, tell us, how did you feel when you started making art again?
Okay. Well, there was no real reason I stopped drawing. It was basically a case of I left school and life just happened and it faded away. I went to university. I studied to become a mental health nurse. I worked in care homes. It was brutal, hard work. Very little free time. So what free time I did have, I usually spent asleep rather than colouring in or doing anything fun like this. And it got to the point where after I hurt my back and then I was diagnosed with a load of issues, and it's all a very long, sad story, and it is what it is. And I decided if I can't work, I'm going to do something that I love. And it honestly, I've never felt happier than doing this. This is just, I can lose myself for weeks at a time, and it's brilliant. Going from a really, really high pressure, high stress environment of nursing to this, it was just worlds apart. It was like just being free. It was so nice, so calming and relaxing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, actually, one more thing we forgot to mention. I did love the fact that you told me that you volunteer at an art gallery where you draw or paint live in order to attract people to come inside.
Yeah, I do that, and it's so I don't have to interact with people. I pretend I'm busy, so everyone stays over there.
Yeah, and I'm sure that definitely draws people in because people love seeing art being made right in front of them. Sometimes when you look at a piece of artwork, you're just like, how? But when you see how it's being made, oh, okay, that's how.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna have Agnesa read some of the title suggestions for this piece, and you don't have to choose any of them if you don't want to. You could just
I'm excited.
Yeah.
So we have Crystal Clear Contemplation, Untitled Lockdown, Death Glistening, let's see, Fireworks in the Afterlife, The Crystal Skull, Life Finds a Way.
Oh, I think I like the first one. What was the first one?
The first one that I read, Crystal Clear Contemplation.
Oh, I like that.
So this is funny. Last time we did the same thing, we had a name game for one of our mixed media artists, and Rissa was the one who had a title that the artist picked. So you're really good at this, Rissa. That is awesome. Yeah. So feel free to read a couple more comments for Kaylee, Agnesa. Maybe if there are any questions or.
Yeah, some comments that I really liked. I think it was Chelsea that mentioned that some of these would make really good badass tarot cards. I totally agree with that.
Yeah,
that was where I was going. I was hoping somebody would say that.
Yeah.
Another one, and I don't know too much about Christmas in Germany, but Adam mentioned that your pagan winter piece reminds me of Christmas time in Germany for some reason.
I think we have a similar sort of mythology to Germany. It all comes from very similar places, so it makes sense that it would fit.
Question real quick from the audience. What color pencils do you use?
There's a few. I think I'm using mostly Prismacolor. There's a few Faber-Castell polychromos in there. There's a few Derwent Coloursoft, Derwent artist pencils. And the white that I use, the best white that I've found, because I know everyone struggles to find a good white pencil, is a Derwent drawing pencil in white. It's got this big, thick, chunky lead, and it's amazing. Really, really good coverage.
Okay, nice. Yeah, and you're just getting a lot of positive commentary. I mean, people are loving the detail in your work and mentioning the fact that combining the different mediums is actually working really well for you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for showing us all of those pictures and telling us about your process and, you know, your story of how you took a break and how you started making art again. By the way, before you go, I'm going to have you leave some information in the chat room for anybody who might want to see more of your work. I tried to get that info from you, but I don't have it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And up next, we have Chelsea Woodmansey. And before I give a little bio on her, I'm going to preface this with a note that Chelsea wrote this bio because I have almost zero sense of humor and I would never come up with this myself. So, Chelsea Woodmansey is a comedian currently living in Chicago, but she hails from Central Oregon, aka the land of hatchback vehicles and sexy vagrant lifestyles. Over the last decade, her most achieviest accomplishments include winning Central Oregon's Last Comic Standing twice, giving a TED Talk on laughter, starring in a short-lived but very scrumptious online show called $100 Boobs, and most recently, moving to Chicago to graduate the Second City Improv program and produce, write, and star in a sold-out run of an original sketch comedy show. If there's anything her comedy career has taught her, it's that everything is funny eventually. All right, Chelsea, the virtual stage is yours.
Oh God, I made myself sound really good. I'm gonna head out. I think that was good. Like if everybody just got a sense of me, I think that that's enough. I'm gonna go. Also, I love earlier you were, I was kind of jotting down my set and you were like, everybody's gonna do something Halloween themed. And I was like, totally, absolutely. And just kind of changed a couple things. So, we'll see how this goes. I haven't done much stand-up online. I've been doing some outdoor shows here. So I'm very honored to be invited. Everybody's been amazing. And as typically goes, I'm usually the jackass out of a crew of like people that are actually doing like really amazing things. So bear with me, artists. Everything you did was really cool. And I'm going to just screw all of that up with everything that's coming out of my mouth. I love Halloween. I love that Alina asked me to be part of the Halloween show. Halloween has got to be my absolute favorite holiday, and I will tell you why. I'm always tempted to dress up as an actual character that everybody would know, but time and time again, I have found that my favorite Halloween costume is, well, I'll just explain it to you. It's somebody that looks like they could have poison control on speed dial, just somebody who's just a little off. What I like to do is I like to get a skull cap and just extend my forehead by like 1.5 inches. So it's noticeable, but it's like, you know, you don't say anything about it. And then I just like to get a wig that looks like normal hair. So here I've just got like a 2-inch extended forehead. I like to have 1 to 2 baby hands. I like to use like a guinea pig or hamster ball as a purse. I wear 2 different shoes. I wear what I call like a church dress, you know, with like the shoulder pads and the floral print. And then I also like to like tuck the back of the dress into some pantyhose and leave a trail of toilet paper hanging out. So just somebody who's just way off, okay? But you're like, are they dressed up or are they just out having a good time? We live in a very sensitive culture. I'm not allowed to say anything about how this person looks, but I have thoughts, they're internal. So my favorite thing is to dress up this way and then approach anybody who's dressed up as a slutty version of anything and stand next to them. And I say, oh my God, look at us, we could be twins. So that's kind of my favorite Halloween move. I just like taking people down a notch. It has nothing to do with me being fat or ugly, because I am fat, but I'm not ugly. I think we all know that. I just really love Halloween because I love the scary movies. I wish they were like available year-round. I guess they are available year-round, but now we have all the apps and stuff. But I have to admit something to you guys. I did possibly the stupidest thing ever, and you'll know which movie it's from when I tell you. I was house sitting for somebody, and they have a huge outdoor area. It's not very well lit, and I had to take the dog out in the middle of the night. She really wanted to go. I take the dog out. I hear a rustling in the bushes. And what did I do? If you've ever seen a horror movie and you thought, this is so dumb, nobody does that, I did this. I heard a rustling in the bushes and I went, hello? Who fucking does that? The people that get murdered. That's who does that. I don't know how I'm standing here right now. Another scary thing that's kind of happening in my world is I recently earned my middle-aged lady card. It's right here. Middle-aged lady card means I can say whatever I want to anyone at any time with essentially zero repercussions. I'll give you an example. My boyfriend and I went out to eat recently, sat outside in the last of the good Chicago weather, and he ordered a pizza from our really sweet, unsuspecting server. He asked her for extra garlic, and without missing a beat, I said, "Oh, okay, lucky you. You don't have to sleep next to this guy tonight." Who am I? I don't have any kids. You know, I don't know why I do this. I say anything I want, anywhere, anytime. Middle-aged lady card. It's had an effect on my post-sex talk. You know, remember when you were young and you just finished doing it and you would like talk about the doing it, you know, and it was all cool and stuff, and you were like, yeah, we just did that. That was rad. I'm 37 now, and I found that, well, for example, my lover and I, we lied in bed the other night, post-loving, our chests heaving from the rigorous lovemaking. I rolled over, chest heaving. I looked into my lover's eyes, and he said to me, "Hey, what dentist did you end up going with?" I'm not kidding. I thought that was so funny, and I did that at a show. And then my boyfriend later reminded me, he's like, "I just want to remind you that you actually answered that question." So it's a scary part about getting old. I also don't understand beauty. There's a lot of kids out there right now. They're just kind of skipping the awkward stage, and I find that very insulting. I went on a road trip recently, and women will understand this, or anybody that wears a bra. I shouldn't just say women. The world we live in. Anybody who wears a bra will understand this. I had to make a choice on the road trip. I had to make a choice. I had to either not wear a bra, which I do all the time, and you can't tell maybe on this chat, but I have very large breasts, okay? And then I also have one just really big one, also known as my stomach. So I kind of essentially have 3 breasts. Anyway, I'm very large in the chesticle region. I have taken out small children with my chest zeppelins. I had to make a choice in the car. I had to say, I'm gonna wear this bra the whole time and be uncomfortable for those like few moments that I get out of the car and go into a gas station in the middle of nowhere, or just leave it off because it's uncomfortable as hell, you know? So I thought I had a vagenius idea. And my vagenius idea was to like put it on, but not buckle it in the back, okay? This would be just like lying suspenders on your body and not clipping them to the pants. That was like essentially my idea. So what happened was I forgot that I had done that. And the first stop that we got out on, ladies, you probably already guessed this, but it had wedged itself up out of my shirt. And I basically was just wearing a 36F bra, like an ascot around my neck. I didn't shave. I didn't shave my legs for like weeks. And I thought, I'm on a road trip. I'm stopping at all these little gas stations. I don't really care. I don't care what people think of me. And the weirdest thing happened. I was standing out in Wyoming, and I had a weird sensation going on in my legs. And I thought, oh my God, I've heard stories of this, like gamers sitting down too long and they stand up too quickly and then they just die. So I thought that's what was happening to me. No. It turns out that it was just the wind moving through my leg hair. That sensation was frightening. Okay, so I've got the ascot bra. I've got the unshaven legs, which the wind has caused quite a ruckus between the hairs. I also have swollen ankles. That's a new, cool, scary thing. That's scary, you know? God, 37, I look like the poster child for diabetes, just in my ankles. This is the last, I just want you to get a whole visual of how I look on a car trip. The last thing that happened is I noticed I had pen marks all over myself, all over my hands, all over my face, all over my neck, all over my pants. And I could not for the life of me figure out what happened. And what happened was, you ever have a song that comes on that you just can't contain yourself, okay? For me, my #1 artist is Queen. They will always be Queen. Freddie Mercury is my heart. But there is an artist that I forget that comes in a close second, and it's Phil Collins, and I can't help but do the drum solo, and I think you all know which song I'm talking about. Go, 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 go. I can feel it. Go. I cannot help if that song comes on. So I had a pen in the car. I was like writing comedy notes. Anyway, so I was covered in pen marks, wearing my bras and ascot with the wind moving through my leg hair with my swollen diabetes ankles, and that's why I don't understand beauty. I also found out what kind of person I was on this road trip. A friend asked me to hold her baby. She offered me to hold her baby. I didn't ask. It's not my territory. And as she's handing me the baby, she says, "Don't drop him." Like I'm the biggest asshole in the world.
Good one.
I got a couple one-liners I'm working on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Remember in the old days, in the Renaissance, when a fair maiden would give a lock of her hair to a man that she fancied? We're sluts walking around bald.
That's a thinker.
Yeah.
My boyfriend is laughing in the other room. I just said, "Thanks, babe. Appreciate it. Appreciate your support." You know how people always make really lewd comments about redheads, like, does the carpet match the drapes? I'm really hoping that when I go all silver, somebody asks me, does the ashtray match the carton? Hey, have you ever known someone who was openly annoying? Ladies, we comment on men's genitalia size a lot when we're irritated with them. If they drive by in a big car, if they're acting like a prick, we immediately go to penis size. And I just want to say, gentlemen, I fully expect that it works both ways. And if somebody does something to you, let's say a female, you have every right to say, "What a bitch, God, I bet she has the hugest nipples." My boss at my previous job made a comment about my clothing style, and I said, "I'll take it over a personality defect." That's really it. Okay, that's it for the stand-up, but now I would like to do some quick wig prov. So, since I can hear Jessie laughing, Jessie's actually on the show that we used to do, $100 Boobs Online, and I was very close to sending Alina some clips to do, but then I realized Jesse's probably going to be presenting like his serious international film work that he does, and I didn't want to make him look like a big goofball, so y'all can look that up later. But Jessie, I got my tub full of wigs here, and I would love it if you gave me a character's name and then just any word.
Bert Weaver. And the word is hump day.
Oh, classic. Okay, I can do that.
Because that's 2 words.
Yeah. So one of the main things that you learn in improv, and I've been doing improv for about 10 years, is that if an audience throws out a suggestion, you don't, like if Jessie had said avocado, I wouldn't just throw on this wig and be like, "Man, I love avocados." Like, you take the word that somebody gives you and think about how it makes you feel. Like if you had said peanut, I might have turned this into an interrogation scene, meaning, and my inspiration would be like, that person's a tough nut to crack. So what did you say, Bert Weaver?
Bert Weaver and hump day.
All right, here we go.
Oh, classic.
Hey fellas, Bert Weaver here. I'm from Dynamo Home Renovations. Listen, I was thinking about putting some GPS on the trucks because I got a couple of guys I don't trust. I mean, they're my friends and all. One of them did sleep with my wife, but I don't trust them around my vehicles. Okay, next. All right, Alina, give me a name. Could be a first and last name or just a first name and an object.
The Lady Gaga candle.
Girl, oh girl.
It's like a mix of Clue, and I have no idea why Lady Gaga.
Okay, I might take this one a little more literal, but.
Ooh. It's like an 80s smart Lady Gaga.
I just want to, oh dear. Oh gosh. Okay, I'm pitting out. It's happening. What's happening is I am pitting out. I just wanted to, okay, trying to make this dating video and it's not going well. Breathe, Lady Jaja. I go by Lady Jaja because, as most of you know, Lady Gaga was already taken. I did take personal offense to that. I did try and have a case. There was a show on MTV, Embarrassing Court Cases. You will find me on season 1, and I'm okay with that. My therapist and I have really done a lot of work to get through that. What happens is I come home, I light my special candle, I pray to the Goblin King to take me away from this place. It never works. Is that all you guys need for the dating video? Should I say how old I am? I'm 30. Okay, I'll do one more.
Wow.
You're helping all my schizophrenia come out. That's great.
I love this.
Well, you know, my poor boyfriend and I, since we've been stuck together and I now work from home, he's kind of stuck with all of these characters all of the time. And what I've taken to lately is every once in a while when I get bored of working, I just wander in the living room with like a cup of coffee and I'm like, man, well, let me know if you need any help, bud. I've been in sales for a couple years. I see you got the corner office. Pretty nice. Okay, how about I don't know who else has their microphone on, or if somebody in the chat wants to just, maybe Agnesa pick somebody in the chat, or Crystal, looks like you got your mic on if you want to give a name.
Sure.
And then any object.
I had a good one.
While you're thinking, Crystal,
Yeah.
Chelsea, is that a real candle you just happen to have on hand, or what was
My David Bowie candle, my patron saint of Goblin King. Yeah, 100%.
It's just there, right next to you, and randomly. Okay.
I mean, he's Queen, David Bowie, like, oh, Ricardo Reyes and ranch dressing I'm seeing down there.
Oh,
You can go with that one if you want.
I'll take that one. I'll take that one.
I just want to comment the whole practicing comedy and whatnot on your partner. I have a big habit of talking in cartoon voices.
Yes.
My husband will just freak out and be like, where did that even come from? I recently realized I can do Ralph Wiggum from The Simpsons. My cat's breath smells like cat food.
Oh my God, that was so good. Dude, it makes life so enjoyable if you can bring these characters out. Okay, so we got Ricardo Reyes and ranch was the suggestion.
It's very Joan Jett.
You know, I get that a lot and I don't appreciate that. I am a male and this hairstyle was very popular back in my day. Name's Ricardo, work for Budget Rentals. What kind of rental are you looking for? I could probably work with your budget. That's like a motto I've been working on. Realize there's already a Budget Rentals somewhere else. I was thinking about turning it into a place called Burt Rentals. But a couple people thought that might be confusing, which I disagree with completely, 100% disagree. So I've just been kind of like buying a lot of domain names. Anyway, you can hit me on Twitter at am I allowed to say puss because it's in my Twitter handles? That I'm just like, I'm about two things and it's kneeboarding and pussy, so it's kind of like, anyway, you get the idea. Like, you can hit me up on the twit. Burt Reynolds, check me out. All right, I think I've subjected you guys to enough.
I love it.
All right, that's it. Get away.
That was awesome, Chelsea.
Hey, you know, it's really hard to do comedy digitally because I can't see anyone, but you know.
Oh, I should have told you about gallery mode where you could see all of us at once.
No, I don't want to see any of you. I don't want to see anyone. I don't need your judgment. I have enough.
Well, at the very least, you could have seen faces laughing, even if you can't hear them, but next time.
We have a lot of laughter in the comments, so.
Yeah, I see my mom's in there. Hi, Mom. Thanks for laughing. You're the best.
Is Lorraine your mom?
Yeah.
Her laugh is awesome.
She's like 10 times funnier than me. So just so you know that.
That's who you get it from.
Yes.
So my question for you that I was going to begin with is, how did you begin with comedy? But it probably began with your parents, right? So tell us that.
Yeah, we just grew up in a really funny family, and they made every effort to just like, I don't know, they just really cultivated an environment where humor was really important. We went through a lot of tough times together as a family. We actually grew up in a very weird religious cult, which we call that to this day. I mean, some people might not consider it a cult, but we did. And we survived by humor, and I learned at a very young age that that's just how you survive, like mental health wise. It's how you help other people. Our parents totally taught us to just appreciate wit and humor and all that good stuff. I mean, sometimes you'd get in trouble too, and if you could really get yourself out of it with something really funny, they were like, all right, next time though, you're in trouble.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's like they just let it slide if you were actually funny.
Well, slide's a strong word, Alina, but we can go with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to have you tell us really quick before we move on here. So when I met you, you were in Oregon, and
yes.
I met you while I was working at a little independent movie theater, and and you had a little show there. So then all of a sudden, pretty much the week that I met you, you ended up moving. I think it was the week I met you. You ended up moving to Chicago to pursue your career. So tell us a little bit about that before we move on.
Well, Alina, I made the choice to move to Chicago. I met with a really experienced agent who just happened to be traveling through Bend, and she gave us some great advice, and I shared with her kind of my comedy resume, because I was actually thinking about going to LA, and she totally talked me out of it for great reasons. Chicago just has a much more supportive scene for all of the things that I want to do. And then I hit the ground running when I got here. Like, I was just hitting open mics, meeting people, putting myself out there as much as possible. But it's taken me a really long time to figure out kind of what I should be doing here. Then I ended up at Second City, which was part of my plan. And I met some of like the best people in the whole entire world. And a few people from my improv group that we all started at level 1 together and then graduated the program, a year-long program. We put on a show at Second City, and it was actually, my mom came. She flew in from Montana. Hi, Mom. And we had sellout shows, which was awesome. And we got in really good with Second City, which is great because now they're closed down and for sale. So that's really good that I did that. But then I'm just kind of working on doing a lot of project solo stuff. I've got a couple other virtual shows coming up. It's just the place to be. It's a good place to be. Chicago had my name on it, and it's been great since day one.
Yeah. I do remember that right when I met you and I heard you're moving in like a couple of days, I remember so many people kept telling you, why? It's like murder capital. What are you going to do there?
A lot of people were very discouraging. And, I just want to say thank you so much, because love it here.
I know. Yeah. I
love to do that.
They do.
They think they know better, but you know better.
You know what? Anytime you tell anybody you're going on a trip or moving somewhere, it's the weirdest thing, but somebody always has something really negative to say. Like New Zealand, of all places. I went there for a month, and people before I went were like, somebody said the weirdest thing. I was like, there's nothing bad you can say about New Zealand. It is absolutely incredible. And this person was like, did you hear about that guy going around stabbing people in the butt with swords? And I was like, come on, just let it go. Like, let other people have joy for the love.
Yeah. And amazing things happened for you once you went ahead and made the move.
100%. Love it here. Never leaving. Love Chicago.
Cool. Well, I'm going to have Agnesa read a comment or two for you before we move on.
Oh, Lord. I wish I was drinking. All right, go ahead.
There's a comment that I loved from Josie. You can't see me or hear me, but I'm laughing.
What up, Josie?
And you had a flood of comments, just like people were loving it.
I'll wait till Jessie goes on and I'll read all of it.
Yeah, after you're part of the show, go ahead and catch up on any of them. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I know that virtual comedy might be a little awkward, especially without seeing people and hearing them, but you were a trooper. You're awesome. Thank you so much.
It was fun. Brava.
Okay, well, up next is another person that I met in Bend, Oregon, and Chelsea knows him. He's Jesse Locke. Chelsea mentioned him, and I love how she said that Jesse's probably going to share about his serious international work, but don't worry, Chelsea. There'll be a little bit of talk about that, but not the videos we'll be sharing. So, a little bio about Jesse before we begin. Jesse Locke is an award-winning filmmaker from Bend, Oregon. He has made 5 short films and 2 feature-length documentaries, the serious international work that Chelsea mentioned. Each of these films have been officially selected by a number of different film festivals throughout the world. 3 of these films have won major awards. So, Jesse, one question I have for you before we show any of your videos.
Yes.
Probably a question that anybody would ask anybody who's into anything. How did you get into filmmaking? Was it something that you always knew you were going to do, or did it take some time to realize this was your passion?
Well, you know what happened? The year was 1993, all right? And my mom, who was amazing as well, as Chelsea's mom was amazing as well, but you know, I have a really amazing mom too, Chelsea, so she's not on here right now, but that's fine.
I love your mom.
She took me to go see Pulp Fiction in the theaters. I was 13 years old. And so this dude right here, I have props. Look at this guy. So that dude, once I saw that film, it kind of changed my life. And I began thinking cinematically, and I began putting scenes together in my brain. That was what really got me going. Tarantino's probably the #1 influence on me, and I've always just strived to capture that feeling that he has in his films.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to show the audience one of your short films / music video that you made that I happen to be in. And of course I had to choose that one. And after, we'll talk about kind of what goes on in your brain. You mentioned you started kind of just, you know, seeing scenes in your head and trying to recreate them. And there will be some questions, I'm sure, after people watch this video about what was going on in your head when you came up with the idea for that.
Totally.
Give me 1 second here. I'm going to pull that up.
Let's watch. Hey, there you are.
Yeah, don't look at all the tabs I have open. That's how my brain is like too. Okay, there we go. All right, that was it. So obviously, I love that video, and not just because I'm in it, but because of what your brain did. I had no idea what I was doing the whole time. You just took me to some really creepy places and and gave me a lot of wine, and
Oh, shit.
that's what you paid me in, remember?
Right. Right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then this happened, and I had no idea how what we like just me standing there trying to awkwardly pose and do things turned into this. And when I saw what you made out of that, I was just blown away.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think a huge piece of my creativity comes from trying to blur the lines of like what is reality, and a lot of it is, especially now with technology, I think that we're caught up in a world that is fake. And so what happens if you sit and you're plugged into like VR or whatnot, and you're living this alternate life? And that's kind of the story of this video. And then you slowly rot as a person, as a real life person. So like, and another thing I like visuals that like, I kind of like, I want to draw you in with some beauty. And Alina, you're very beautiful. And so that was very nice. And then kind of turn that on its head and then show you some gruesome, like you with your neck slit and everything like that, you know, like I like doing that to audiences. It makes entertaining, fun stuff.
Kind of shocked them.
Yeah.
Actually draw them in. And by the way, that neck slit scene, that sweater, I still have it. It is now it has the stains from the fake blood, but it is now my painting sweater. I paint in it.
Oh, cool. Dope. Yeah, that house that we were in was really creepy as hell. Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys saw the red finger stamped on the wall, that just looked like blood. That was what, some house that nobody lived in, with broken glass everywhere. I was just like, what?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that was, and we were in there for a while. That was fun. We had like a generator going with the lights and everything. And that whole slow motion, you walking through the house slow motion, I was inspired. I wanted to try to recreate Fiona Apple, and Fiona Apple has one of the dopest music videos to the song "Criminal." I don't know if you guys never know that, but it's sick. And she's like kind of just like slowly going around. And that's another thing I love slow motion. Huge fan. Huh?
Yeah. No, I loved it. You made me look less awkward, because instead of me just sitting there like, what am I supposed to be doing? You made it look like it was intentionally slow motion.
Nice. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. And honestly, the number one thing that I really appreciate is, and probably people who have had a photographer take pictures of them, or, you know, somebody who is an artist and has this visual brain, and this other person has no idea how to even understand where to begin. I'm not an actress. I'm the most awkward person ever if there's a camera in front of me, whether it is a video camera or a photo camera. But to see this amazing thing come out of just me going, okay, what do I do next? So like nervous and awkward. I love that you can't even tell.
Yeah, you killed it. I thought we did good. It was a good working relationship. I thought we killed it. We were all in it. I mean, you were willing to go to some weird places, and that was great. That was also the first time I worked with my iPad and like Procreate. I was adding animation elements. That was the first music video I ever did that in.
Oh,
it's archaic, but I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's completely random. I agree, but also when you explained what the story is about, and it's kind of like this other world that this person lives in her head, and all these things are going on. The archaic part actually makes sense.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. I like it. I have that narrative is in my brain all the time, of like looking at your phone and then you just slowly wilt away.
Yeah. It was great. So, question for you. I mentioned how I was awkward and clueless, and you had nonstop ideas for what, where, and how, and all of that. So, how do you get your ideas, and what inspires you?
I'm really inspired by music. Music is probably my number one inspiration, especially like music videos. Music videos are the most fun thing to make because it's just complete artistic creativity. And the way that I edit with a rhythm in my head. And so it's a lot of fun to put visuals to that rhythm of a song and then cut on those beats. And that's kind of how my brain works. Like everything that I ever think about is like rhythmic. If I want this scene to flow this way, it has to like flow to a rhythm. And so that's kind of what inspires me. And there's certain bands that whenever I hear them, I instantly just start thinking of it's a very visual trip. Like Radiohead is an example. When I listen to Radiohead, I think of like, you know, gypsies in rivers and like old sirens diving down the water. Like it's just like all these interesting visuals that come to my mind. Those guys really tap into something in my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to show one more of your short film / music videos, and then you can tell us a little bit about that one later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this one too. It's really cool.
Oh yeah, it's cool. This one's a good one. Oh God.
Everybody ready?
Hang up the chick habit, hang it up, daddy, or you'll be alone in a quick. Hang up the chick habit, hang it up, daddy, or you'll never get another fix. I'm telling you it's not a trick, pay attention, don't be thick, or you're liable to get licked. You're gonna see the reason why when they're spitting in your eye, they'll be spitting in your eye. Hang up the chick habit, hang it up, daddy, or girl's not a tonic or a pill. Hang up the chick habit, hang it up, daddy, you're just jumping for a spill. Oh, how your bubble's gonna burst when you meet another nurse, she'll be driving in a hearse. You're gonna need a heap of glue when they all catch up with you and they cut you up in two. Now your ears are ringing, the birds have stopped their singing, everything is turning gray. No candy in the till, no cutie left to thrill, you're alone, allowed to stay. Hang up the chick habit, hang it up, daddy, or you'll be alone in a quick. Hang up the chick habit, hang it up, daddy, or you'll never get another fix. I'm telling you it's not a trick, pay attention, don't be thick, or you're liable to get licked. You're gonna see the reason why when they're spitting in your eye, they'll be spitting in your eye. You're gonna see the reason why when they're spitting in your eye, they'll be spitting in your eye. You're gonna see the reason why when they're spitting in your eye, they'll be spitting in your eye. You're gonna see the reason why when they're spitting in your eye, they'll be spitting in your eye.
Ah, yes. Very
I love that
witty.
one. Yeah, it's very witchy. I love that circle. I don't know what it's called, but when the witches gather in a circle and hold hands.
Yeah, that was sweet. Yeah,
With
that
the
was.
lighting you have going on in your room right now.
Yeah, it's actually the same light.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, totally.
So tell us a little bit about that video.
Yeah, that one, I got approached by these people to make a music video to that song. And so that was like the initial contact. And then that song is so fucking dope. And I was just like, oh my God. And then I instantly thought of like a witch's like covenant or something, of witches doing some gangster shit. And I love a kind of like a revenge tale or whatnot. And so the story is the witches get accosted by all these assholes, and they drink a magic potion that when they sing, the next time they sing, that all of the blood from these people exit their bodies. And I was like, this is gonna be really cool. So that was like the story of that. And then those three actors, they've been in a couple of my things. They're amazing, and so we're friendly. And one thing that's so amazing about making like films or doing these projects is like the relationships that you build. And we're still friends. Like they still hang out. The witches still like get together, and they have like a witches like group they do. It's freaking dope. I love it, man. Those guys were so great. We had a ball making that music video, a really good time. And some of those shots in the garage with like the bubbling cauldron, I'm proud of those. Those are cool.
No, it's all really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was a good tale of like, dude, just like keep your hands to yourself, dudes. Come on, nobody wants that, you know.
I love the just like how one of the guys had like blood bubbling from his mouth, and it was,
yeah.
It's like it's blood coming out of a person's mouth. It shouldn't be funny, but for me, it was hilarious.
Yeah. That Dave Felton was like, blah, 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 like, Yeah, that was sweet. And as you guys can probably tell, I love slow motion, so I always like try to put something in slow mo. I think it looks cool. But that was shot at River Pig here in Bend, and like the owner of River Pig is so dope. He was like, I pitched him the idea. I just walked in, and I'm like, hey, I got this idea. Can we just take over your bar for like a couple hours? He's like, yeah, it's fine. And it was like during, peak hours, and people like sitting there going, what the hell? And all the blood. People were, it was pretty good. It's a good one.
That's awesome. And I love that, how you come across the right people to be able to make this happen too.
Exactly. I mean, I love, my favorite people are yes people. And I've run making these things, and especially being extremely independent. You run into a lot of people who just say no. That's their first answer. And I never understand those people. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I almost said no to you when you asked me to be in the first video that I showed, just because I've never been in front of a video camera before. And I know that I suck at, when people take photos of me, I get awkward and stiff. So I thought, I have to move. It's a video camera. I can't just stand there and, try to be a statue. But, I'm glad I said yes. And I'm so happy that I had this awesome experience with you, and that I said yes, and this happened.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, that's so cool. I'm so happy. That's good. I love it.
And, well, now, so I showed first the music videos that you've made, and now what you're working on mostly, unless you're still doing music videos, but you make documentaries too, and that's a recent thing, right? So I want to ask you, how did you transition from making these short films, these music videos, to documentaries?
Yeah, I had the extreme honor and privilege to be asked to go to Palestine in, I think, 2017. To film a documentary there. And once that happened, it changed my life. It changed who I am as a person. I was activated, I guess you could say. So moving forward in my life, I decided to kind of go, I mean, it was subconscious, but I have to do this kind of like empathy work. I have to show these stories from people that are marginalized, and from people that are stereotyped, especially here in America, especially like being Arabic. And so I went to Palestine. I met these amazing people who are the kindest people I've ever met in my entire life, changed my life. And that's how this started. And I've been very lucky that life has always pushed me towards this type of work. Every time I'm like, but I want to make Kill Bill 3. Life's like, well, you got other things you need to be doing. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So I just try to stay open to that and move in those avenues. And it's really, it's very fulfilling.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So your latest documentary, Seven Hills, and we will leave the link for that for everybody else after Jesse's part of the show. So tell us a little bit about that documentary.
Seven Hills is a skate park in Amman, Jordan, that teaches refugee children from all over the war-torn areas that surround Jordan, teaches refugee children how to skate. And so I went over there. I met the founder, Mohammed Zakaria, who built the skate park. And he's just the coolest guy ever. And he's kind of like just a Zen dude. And like once I met him and heard about the park, I knew that this was like something I had to do. And this was really the first film I ever made that I wasn't not going to make it. Like this is it. Like I'm like, this is happening no matter what. So I crowdfunded, I went over there, and I spent a month there in Amman shooting. I was able to go up to a refugee camp, a Gaza refugee camp in Jerish, and interview Palestinian kids from Gaza. I was able to go into a Sudanese house and interview Ehab, who was just an amazing skater at the park. So it's a story about kind of like life finds a way, I guess. It's like, can you find joy? What is life all about? And gaining perspective. That's a huge thing about life, I think, is gaining different perspectives. And I've had the privilege to do that. I'm very proud of this film. It has a really good heart to it. And it's saying like, we are all humans living on this planet, and this planet is home. And so when you start to label people and you start to put people in a box, that doesn't do good for anyone. And so that's kind of what the base of this movie is about. And Tony Hawk is in it as well. I went down to San Diego and interviewed Tony Hawk, so that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And here's a tiny little sneak peek cut out from the trailer of Seven Hills that we added after the show into the workshop recording for you.
Beyond skating, there was a deeper connection.
Yeah, that was cool. I know it's great. Amman has over 800,000 refugees living in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I love that, that you're using, I'm going to mention a word that one of my featured artists in a previous show, I think it was the fourth one, introduced me to the word artivist, where you combine activism and art. And I feel like it definitely applies to what you're doing here.
Yeah. Cool. That's great. I love that. What a great compliment. Thank you. I guess it's cool. This interview is interesting because I do have this music video background. And so I apply that to making documentaries. I want to have somewhat of a cinematic music video aspect to certain areas of it. I like to blend those two genres together. So that's a main goal of mine too.
Yeah. And in the first documentary that we mentioned earlier when you went to Palestine for it, I did want to tell everybody the little theater that I worked in where I met Chelsea and Jesse, we showed that documentary and what he said about making it cinematic and not just, your standard people sit down at a table and be interviewed kind of documentary. I remember there's a little girl, a little reporter who was how old?
Yeah, Jana. I think she was 9 when we were there. Jana was one of the biggest reasons. She melted my heart and changed my life.
Yeah. But the way the camera follows her and the way the camera presents her, as she's walking through this like war-torn country, it's beautiful. And, the story itself is heartbreaking, but the cinematography is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thanks a lot.
And here is another snippet from Jesse Locke's other documentary, Radiance of Resistance.
مرات بشعر إني خايفة ومرات بشعر إني متشجعة مرات بشعر في المسيرة إني لازم أروح أواجههم وفيش إشي بمنعني لأروح أواجههم غير بدي أصير لما أكبر صحفية عشان أغطي الأحداث وأوصل رسالتي لكل العالم.
But back to his newest documentary, Seven Hills.
Well, Seven Hills, it's there again. Not to toot my own horn, but I really went all out on that one.
I gotta watch that one. I haven't yet, but I will after this.
Yeah.
And Jesse's latest documentary, Seven Hills, is now streaming on Amazon, Google Play, and Tubi TV. I don't know how to say that.
Tubi TV, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, and we'll leave that information for you, and as well as Jesse's website for Unlocked Films, his Instagram, and a little bit more information for you in the comments section, in case you want to get in touch or see more from Jesse. All right, thanks so much, Jesse.
Yeah.
And now we're going to move on to our next person in the show and our final performer. Her name is Jules in Darkened. You might remember Jules in Darkened from a previous workshop. She is a performer with many talents, but today you will see her combine 2 of those, poetry and dance. Jules has put her own poetry to music, and she will teach us some choreography so that we can follow along as she moves. So now I will let Jules tell us more about poetry, dance, and the audience participation prompt that you are welcome to join in and be a part of, but you don't have to. All right, Jules.
Hi, how's my audio?
Great.
Good, perfect.
Yeah.
So I am a dancer and I love performing dance, but I also have always had a really deep love for poetry. One of my favorite parts about poetry is I feel as though when you're creating a poem, it's almost as if your body, your mind, and your soul all just align within that piece. And one of my favorite artistic projects is taking those art forms and kind of merging them together. So I've written a short poem, try to keep it short so that we could all, fit it in. And I've recorded my voice of it, put it to some music, and I've made some choreography. Now, one of the amazing things about our bodies is we can use them to speak. we can add imagery to the words that we say with our mouths, with our bodies. So I was wondering, Elena, is it possible for you to play it first so I can demonstrate to everybody, and then I can break it down for them and we can all do it together?
You're just gonna be showing us first
Yeah.
how to do the movements, and then we'll play it one more time, and then we'll all follow along?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. I will play it right now.
Alone, along this moonlit path, the crack of the twig snaking down your spine. Within the thicket, a shadow falls. The witch of the woods emerging from her throne like a sickness to this reality, exposing lack of awareness on this blessed Samhain evening. The unseen veil is thinnest.
All right.
Awesome.
Perfect. So we're going to learn that. We're going to break it down. You guys are more than welcome to join in with me. If not, don't worry about it. You can also change the movement however you need to fit your body, but that's basically what we're going to be doing. So we have our first line, which is alone along this moonlit path. So we have alone. We're going to symbolize that we are alone by running our hands down our body. This is going to be a physical representation showing this is the singular person that we are talking about right now. And the next line, along this moonlit path, we're going to imagine our hand and our eyes and our heads following our hand. Almost like that sensation when you're driving along a windy road, you almost feel your entire body kind of moving with it. So we're going to be moving along, and then we're going to bring it to a stop. So let's try just that part together first. Alone, along this moonlit path. We're going to bring our hand here. Now we're going to wait for the part of the poem where it's going to say the line, the crack of the twig. In which case we're going to take our hands, we're going to imagine it cracking. You know, when you take a twig and you crack it in half, there's that sound and you hear this crack. And at the same time, we're going to be turning our head, almost as if we're looking to see what make the noise. So as you can see, we're using our bodies to tell the story. So let's add that on. We have alone, along this moonlit path. The crack of the twig. And when we say twig, you can even crack it even further with your hand, move into it. And then the next line is snaking down your spine. So we have the crack of the twig, snaking down your spine. So you're going to imagine your hand, you know, you've cracked it and it's this intensity, you're holding your muscles taut. And then you're gonna go into a smooth, letting it just flow with your body, starting with your hand, moving all the way down your chest, your torso. Imagining an actual snake traveling from your hand to your elbow, to your shoulder, to your chest, to your abdomen. So having these visuals in our mind tells our body how to move. So let's try that together. Alone, along this moonlit path. The crack of the twig, snaking down your spine. Now our next line is going to be, within the thicket, a shadow falls. So we're going to keep our hand here. We're going to take our other hand, our opposing hand. This is my left. I don't know how it looks for you guys. This is my left hand. I'm going to bring it up above me. So this is within the thicket, a shadow falls. Now at this point, we're going to let our left hand fall down and meet with our right, and they can go down together. So let's try that again. We've got our hand here. We're gonna go within the thicket, a shadow falls. Beautiful. Okay, let's try all of that together and then we can move on. Alone, along this moonlit path, the crack of the twig snaking down your spine. Within the thicket, a shadow falls. And the next lines are, the witch of the woods. Now, when we say the witch of the woods, we're going to take our hands, which are already right next to each other, bringing them up almost as if we're putting a mask on. Because as in the beginning of the poem, we were us, we were the singular person. Now we are transforming ourselves into the image of the witch. We are becoming a different character in the poem. So we're going to bring our hands up. The witch of the woods. And in the next line, emerging from her throne, we're going to imagine tearing back that mask, emerging from our throne. Almost as if now there's this crown above our head. We are now the witch of the woods. So let's try all of that together and then move on to the next. Alone, along this moonlit path, the crack of the twig snaking down your spine. Within the thicket, a shadow falls. The witch of the woods, emerging from her throne. Our next lines are, like a sickness to this reality. So we're going to take our hands, which are nice and large out here, and we're going to hold them to our throat, like we're being suffocated. A sickness to this reality. And as we say reality, we're going to breathe into that. Because you know what happens when you're being choked? You try to breathe, there's a reaction. Sickness of this reality. We're going to move on to the next line and add it on too. Exposing lack of awareness. We're going to keep our hands here at our throat and we're just going to circle our head around. So, going from emerging from her throne, we have like a sickness to this reality. Exposing lack of awareness. Perfect. We're going to do all of that together and then we'll move back on to the last section. Alone, along this moonlit path. The crack of the twig slithering or snaking down your spine. Within the thicket, a shadow falls. The witch of the woods, emerging from her throne, like a sickness to this reality, exposing lack of awareness. Our next line is, on this blessed Samhain evening. We're going to take our hands from our throat. We're going to open them up, bring them down, not quite into a prayer position, not quite, kind of keeping our hands a little bit of a distance away from each other. So emulating that prayer pose, but in a different form. So we have, on this blessed Samhain evening, we're going to take our hands and we're going to slowly slide the left one up and the right one down. The unseen veil is thinnest. We're going to open up our hands And we're just going to slowly allow our arms to open for the end of the song. So let's add that last part. We went from exposing lack of awareness on this blessed Samhain evening. The unseen veil is thinnest. Beautiful. Let's do all of that together and then we'll see how you guys are all feeling. So we have alone along this moonlit path, the crack of the twig snaking down your spine. Within the thicket, a shadow falls. The witch of the woods emerging from her throne, like a sickness to this reality, exposing lack of awareness on this blessed Samhain evening. The unseen veil is thinnest. All right, how's everybody feeling? Can I see some thumbs ups, thumbs down? How are you guys feeling with that?
Awesome.
Good, you guys wanna try it out with some music?
Yeah.
All right, let's try it out.
Okay.
It's gonna start pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Alone along this moonlit path, the crack of the twig snaking down your spine. Within the thicket, a shadow falls. The witch of the woods emerging from her throne like a sickness to this reality, exposing lack of awareness on this blessed Samhain evening. The unseen veil is thinnest.
How did you guys all do?
That wasn't bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was great.
I wanted to write a song about Samhain because I am a practicing witch, and Samhain is, we celebrate it on the night of Halloween, and it is the witch's new year, and it is a sacred night for us. So I wanted to capture some of that intensity, that creepiness, that spookiness that I just love about this entire season. So that was the inspiration.
Yeah, that was awesome. So really quick note for everybody. I kind of threw this at Jewel's last minute and just found some royalty-free music that we could use without me getting banned on YouTube. And yesterday you wrote that poem to match the music that quick?
I did.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I read some Edgar Allan Poe beforehand, get myself in the mood, and then I was like, all right, busted it out. So
That works. That makes sense. Well, thanks for making dancers out of all of us. It's one of those things like with Jesse, I thought, well, I can't really dance. I'm going to look really, but then when you say yes to something that you think you suck at and you try, it works out.
Yeah,
and it was
absolutely.
beautiful. It was beautiful to see you all join in too. So just so everybody knows, if you haven't been here for, I believe it was the second virtual creative workshop that we had, Jules did another dance with the fire spinning fans.
Fire fans, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to leave the link in the comments section for all of you in case you want to see that other workshop as well and see her other dance that she choreographed herself. Well, thank you so much for that. That was absolutely amazing. And I love how you were able to come up with that so last minute, but it was so beautiful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. All right, well, this concludes our show. Thank you so much to all of the featured guests that were here to share all of their wonderful creative talents with us. Thank you so much to the audience for being here as well. And if you would like to be featured on our show, if you happen to be somebody in the audience who hasn't been featured or has been and want to be featured again, do reach out to virtualcreativeworkshop@gmail.com. And again, thank you so much for being here and have a good night.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Alina. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Brayden, are they mummers or ghosts? No, they're mummers.
Put on the spot. He gets
He's
right.
being shy. Okay, you gonna get up and say goodnight to them?
Good night.
Good night.